I have come back to beach. I have come back to beach, and I decided I'll do a little live and see what happens. I got some chalk down here yesterday. It's still here. How are you, by the way? I've been having such a challenging time that I've been anything but my best version. But I think a lot of people are going through that. You know, it's not just me. Can you imagine in England this still being here like 24 hours later? Just not feasible. I've just done a little bit of chalking here, and I'll see if I can get some conversations going. I had a few yesterday. I put a video out. You might have seen it already. But I actually missed the best conversation. A really curious young man, very frightened of my breath, but he was, you know, he'd done a little bit of piloting and, flown a light aircraft, and he had some really great questions, and it was a good conversation, but he didn't want me to film it. But the world is in a bit of a pickle, I don't know, you know, just, I mean, because you'll see it here in this place. It's very people are very caught up with the program. Trying to not use language that upsets the AI, because as you know, there is no such thing as true free speech anymore. And the funny thing is that, you know, a guy like Donald Trump can say that, you know, he's got a lawsuit out on these companies that are doing, you know, like Facebook and Twitter and so on. Which is, you know, again, it's the second time that he's been, you know, with the China virus thing, it's the second time that he's been like a major conspiracy theorist, you know, and it's okay for him. Interestingly, in South Africa, there were road closures over the course of this weekend where protesters had gone out blocking the roads, burning things, because the ex-president, Zuma, he was sentenced to 15 months. He was on a multi-billion rand corruption. Again, it's like there's been this scandal. Now, either you like for Zuma and you go, no, this is all a conspiracy against him, or you're against him and you say, yes, he was conspiring with others to fleece billions of rands from the South African taxpayer. Either side of that argument makes you a conspiracy theorist. And okay, you could say, well, once they, you know, if they prove him guilty, then it's no longer a conspiracy theory, it was a conspiracy. But they don't call it that. They'll call it some other name, so they don't have to remind the average guy that actually, yes, the world is pretty much controlled by one form of conspiracy or another. I might not get the best of signals here, but this guy got done for he hasn't been prosecuted for the trial. He was prosecuted for contempt of court, which again, it's just theatre. And this over here is Francois.
Dave, are you finding anyone to engage?
To talk?
Yeah.
Francois is a flat earther, and
absolutely
a very rare breed, because he's also a farmer.
Yes, indeed.
And Afrikaans. Well, partially. Sorry, I'm zoomed right in on you then. Yeah,
sometimes it takes a little bit of trauma to make you see the truth of things.
Yeah, and Francois has had
a bit of that.
Yeah, he's had a bit of trauma.
It could either send you to an institution, or it could make you do a little bit of research and try and find the truth.
Yeah.
Which in my case was the route I took.
Yeah, Francois has had a lot of difficulties with the banks stealing his family farm.
Banks.
And
GMOs.
Oh, and the whole GMO agenda. He's a maize farmer. The
cost of the inputs, Dave.
He's had that old Monsanto thing. He's lived through that, you know, and where it's become increasingly impossible to survive.
Increasingly, more difficult.
Yeah.
To balance the books, so to speak.
You know. So,
Inputs versus profit,
yeah.
and then obviously you got weather to contend with as well.
Yes.
I'm not just blaming the big pharma and the big. There's a whole lot of factors, but yeah, that's one of that's a few of the factors.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining me. Francois has, very kindly. I mean, he saw me do a video down here on the beach a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and was inspired to kind of come down here and try and find me. It's a long drive for him, and he just drove down and he started talking to some of the homeless folks that he'd seen in the video to try and pass me a message. And then next time I came down, they're like, "Oh, this guy was looking for you. Here's his number." And so here he is. We're together. We hung out here yesterday for a little while, and as you can see from my art, I am trying to stimulate some conversation, and fantastically it manages to stay here because of very little rain, and because the local authorities don't seem to give a shit. I can leave that up on the wall here. Hey Mark, and Ricardo. Underground, hey man. Yeah, that's a very level sea back there. As much as you. And that's Francois. Alexander is having a little sleep, so he's not here at the moment. I have to be honest with you guys, coming down to the beach here is a little bit, sorry guys, a little bit of a thing, because we've made this connection with a whole bunch of people that are homeless and stuff, and so every time we come down, it's like, guys are constantly at you with their latest tale of woe, and every day is a day of survival, and I've got to be so sympathetic to that, But yeah, it's like a bottomless pit, a black hole of need. And it's hard to see that getting filled by, they are really sure a night in the shelter. Otherwise, it's a night cold. It's not super cold here, but it's cold enough. Let me tell you, I would not want to be sleeping outdoors. Unless I had a decent sleeping bag. So, yeah, how's things going in Australia, Mark, of Melbourne? I feel like a little bit like a bereft because people are so caught up in people are so fait accompli about this is what we do. We used to complain about the Muslims being forced to cover their faces. Now we go along with it, no problem at all. Speak to people here and so often they'll go, we need to hear this stuff, we need to hear people talking the way that you talk, and whatever God, whatever creator essence there is out there, or I'm meant to have within me, I have to be honest, I haven't yet found like the true purpose and value of what it is that I'm doing at the moment. Andrew and I talk about this a lot. Hi guys, did you know that we've been lied to about living on a globe? That it's impossible to walk on the underside of a ball, or for that rocks would float in space? That stuff's all a lie. Check out 200 proofs Earth is not a ball. You should check it out on YouTube. Because the whole Darwinian thing about coming from apes, that's all a lie. The Muslims know that. The Muslims all go along with that. It's not even, they don't accept that. They're very proud about their connection to Allah, and rightfully so. So we know that for sure that the eugenicist family Darwin were very much part of the diminution of the human story, and evolution. The thing that I used to push like a religious fool is actually just demeaning propaganda against our creation. Yeah, so anyway, Mark, I don't know if you had a chance to answer that question. The Sharia in real Islam, no rule but a right. It's all messed up by man's society. Very sad. Yeah, sorry, my eyesight's not brilliant, so I can't read your channel name. It's too light for me to recognize. But yeah, I think Sharia has actually got some important aspects to it that we've lost, you know, in the sense that we are should be responsible for our own communities. There's someone interested in this. Let's see if we can have a conversation. Excuse me, sir. Do you mind if I ask you a question? As I say, I did have a really good few conversations yesterday, and at one point I didn't film it, but I had a good number of people listening in, you know, and it was fun. It felt like the first bit of real activism I'd done in a very long time, you know, like flat Earth activism, where there was a group of listeners and so forth. Hey, you can see me there. I'll give you a quick wave. Major lockdowns in your state? So I see major lockdowns coming every place now. No, me apologize. Please look into the flat Earth, because you know what? We've been lied to about who we are and where we are for forever. And I found this stuff out about 5 or 6 years ago, that we cannot measure any curvature over water. Water is always level. So at what point does the sea become a ball? There's no measurable experiment, measurable science that can show that water is going to start curving over its surface. You know, no matter what the underside of the dam looks like, the top is always going to be level on a quiet day, right? And so you could just expand that dam to as big a dam as you like, and it's always still going to retain that same level feature. And then, so the other big thing is that the spinning, you know, I don't know if you know how fast we're spinning, but we're apparently spinning in this direction behind me at near enough 1,000 miles an hour, or over 1,000 kilometers an hour in this direction. And we're falling towards the sun. This is what they're trying to tell us. Rather than we can see the sun move over our heads, and it just seems like a small light, but we're told it's a massive fire that travels through frigid space for 8 minutes and then heats up again when it gets to our Earth. None of that stuff really makes sense when you start to unpick what we were taught as kids, is that gravity will answer all the questions of how you can walk under a ball, how water can perform strange things that you can't do in a science class, simply by using this thing called gravity. And gravity is, what they say is, when you lift something up and it falls down, that's gravity. Well, no, you lifted it up. You gave it the force to make it fall down. So I think that we are all the center of creation. God created us in his image, or her image, or its image, and we are meant to know that. But we're denied that because they tell us that we came from monkeys, that we're in a big bang, and all this sort of nonsense that doesn't make any sense in reality. So you are the center of creation. Look into this. There's a great YouTube channel called Globebusters. Globebusters. You'll remember that. They're really kind of science-minded guys, but you can go into the spiritual side as well, because we are truly the center of creation. God created you in God's image, and Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. He meant for you to look in the mirror and say those words.
Thank you. Will do.
All the best.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you. A little plug for Globebusters there. Bob and them, they continue to do good work, and you know, I sometimes get to listen in on their stuff. I was listening to something from David Weiss the other day. That guy's on fire, man. You know, he's got his conversation pretty much down pat, and he can deliver it in so quickly. Oh, you're welcome, my friend.
You know, Pastor, I won't lie. You know what a hard life is living.
I know.
I'm
gutted to
pray
be
for me. You know, sometimes I feel like committing suicide. This fellow's mother and father, they are so young. They're on drugs.
Yeah.
They don't even think of helping me to buy one TV for him.
Wow.
Or one milk.
Wow.
Where I'm staying, I lost my job because of my asthma.
Wow.
I don't even collect the time. Pay 100 a day. You know, your wife helped me as a mother. I'm so appreciative. Because you all went away, I thought, no, you're not coming back. I went to one day home.
Oh, yeah. We tried to find you last night.
No, because when mommy gave me the money, it was cold.
Yeah.
So I took him straight and went home. I paid the shelter and we went to sleep.
Yeah.
This
Awesome.
morning, 6 o'clock again, he took me out. Because you see something.
They put you out of the shelter at 6 in the morning
Yes.
with a baby?
With the baby, the
This?
Somali guy, he got no mercy for us. Look here.
Oh man.
This count was 4,000. You know, for last year, the lockdown was last year, right?
Yeah.
It was 4,000.
Yeah.
So we didn't know that the government paid for us. What we were doing, we were giving him 10 rand extra every day to cover. Because we stayed there, and when we stay someplace, we can't be not to pay. We
Yeah,
have to stay.
yeah.
So, okay, fine, we didn't pay for a couple of months or something. Alright, we owe you, right, we pay you slowly because we can't manage to pay you all one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, my neighbor is a white lady.
Yeah.
So, she was owing 16,000. So, he was harassing her, so she went to human rights.
Yeah.
When she went to human rights,
Hello.
when she went to human rights, they got in the computer system all the buildings that the government has subsidized
Yeah.
for the lockdown that paid
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because we couldn't go out and
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
So when she came, she told me, don't tell anybody. Hey, don't tell anybody. Don't hear a certain person in human rights, see a certain person.
Yeah.
So I went. They don't want it.
We got some baby food for this kid yesterday.
So we went now to human rights. So they told me, if you harass you one more time for this money, you come to us.
Yeah.
So when he came, I told him, you see, me, I went to a certain place, and this is the story. He told me not to pay you 1 cent of this to the government.
Yeah.
He told me, no, you shut your mouth, you think you have me a big mouth.
Really,
Now, because of that, it's very hard on me.
Wow.
The other night on Tuesday, I had 70 rand. So I went to him, these are hard, I can't make the other 30
Yeah.
rand.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it. He told me, no, you can't come inside. You must go. I came back in the beach run.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock in the night. The cop picked me up. What you doing with the baby this part of the night? Because don't ask me that question, go ask my landlord.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you think I'm
Yeah.
so ignorant as an old man that me to take my small baby against the cold at 10 o'clock in the night. Now he's telling me, hey, you take drugs and what? You're battling for drug money. I said, yeah, I'm battling for drug money, yes, but you know what? I spoke 1,000 rand in the morning, that's why now I'm trying to get 30 rand. I told the cop straight away, let me know you lie.
Yeah.
They takes the baby, put him in the front, I close my pram and put him in the back of the van.
They took your baby off you.
No, they
Oh,
take the baby,
man.
put him in the front of
Yeah.
the van, they can't put him in the back of the
Yeah.
van.
Yeah.
So they took me down to the face. Somebody told him, no, what's that? It's a privately owned building, no pay, no stay. This guy here, he must pay his 100 rand. Cop had to open his wallet, give me 30 rand to pay.
Oh, and that's a nice story.
You understand?
The cop ended up paying the 30 rand you didn't have. Fantastic.
Because now he knows that I'm telling him the truth.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because I got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what I'm telling you and this thing, and I took you there and I proved to you that what I'm telling you is the truth.
Yeah.
And I even told him, I came here earlier around with the 17, what you told me. Turn off the cop. Come inside, boy. Danny boy. Now I'm suffering with asthma. My chest is rumbling.
Yeah.
I'm feeling so guilty. I can't even ask the people for anything.
I'm
trying
sorry.
to tell the bands, yeah.
I'm
to
sorry.
get the other money to go home because I need to go and sleep, take my
Yeah,
tablet.
yeah,
Now, I
yeah.
can't take my tablet because
Yeah.
I fall off asleep because this prednisone is very strong.
Is it?
This asthma tablet is
Oh,
very,
really?
very strong. I must take 8, it's 5 milligrams each.
Wow, man.
So if you take 8 now, I'm at the 40 milligrams. You know, that means I'll sleep away. I try my best. I'm at 50 rand. Another 50 rand to go home.
Hey, man. Oh, I'll see if I can help you. We're going to get some more food later. I'll see how I can help you.
No, I'm so stressed. My mind is not even functioning properly.
I understand that.
Now, I'm
Yes.
55 years old. I'm thinking, tomorrow if I die, what's going to happen to this child?
Yes.
These parents don't even care. Even the social worker, I went to the social worker, they told me one of the biological parents was registered. They don't want to do that. At least if you get his birth certificate, bring it to the social worker.
Yeah.
She'll apply for the foster grant. So you know the baby's birth is covered and what.
Yeah.
Even that they don't want to do. His mother is black. His father is my son.
Right.
They're sleeping in the truck, sleeping in the park.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Now she's expecting another baby.
Oh, man.
I even told her, said, now where are you going to take that baby at?
Wow.
Huh? You've got one, you can't take one, now
Yeah.
you're taking another one, sleeping in the street. Now that baby come, where are you going to I told him, say, all right, you say she don't want to give it up, she leaves you, not leave her, let her go to
Yeah.
her thing. You got to lie to him.
Yeah.
Go look for a job, you're young. There's so many jobs you have. He had a job here for Balmoral. What's that? Daddy, I got a job. I went and found out from the manager there. He said, yes, I got a job for you. Daddy, I need this, I need that. I gave it to him. He never went for the job. Then, he he never went for the job.
Hey, how you going, Stephen? Okay, man, nice
He
to
took my
see you.
black shoes, he took my black
Wow.
pants, and all, he sold it.
See you again, huh?
Yeah, likewise, brother.
Ah, yeah.
How's things holding up?
Alright, alright.
All right.
I'll be the last one. But then,
Back to England, you know, or what we got to do next. Hey, brother. How are you, man? All right. Yeah,
see you again.
likewise.
It was the last conference. I remember you were
Yeah.
trying to settle this, huh?
Sorry.
Places, right?
Yeah, we're trying to get a place here, but you know, it's all been a little bit difficult to get things worked out. By the grace of God, I will stay, be able to make a difference here, because there's a lot of people who need to hear the stuff that I have to say. And some of it starts with this flat Earth and Darwin and all these lies that the globe and all this lie that we're telling us about where we come from in space and so on. Have I told you that before? The whole thing about the globe. Water does not flow underneath a ball. Humans cannot walk underneath like insects. We cannot walk underneath a ball. But they teach us that we do, because wherever you stand, you're on the top of the ball and everything is down from you. Well, that doesn't make sense, because if I'm on the top of the ball, you can't be on the top of the same ball. If I would say I'm in top in England and you say, no, I'm in top in South Africa, it'd be like, no, you can't both be on top. That doesn't make sense. It makes more sense if this is a flat earth and we're all on top at the same time. But they try and tell you that you're on top and I'm on the bottom, or I'm on the top and you're on the bottom, which is nonsense. Water would never run uphill. This water here, when it's still, it's flat.
Durban is a beach.
Durban is a beach. And it's all level, you know, across the sea, you know, the ship is not going to go down because it can't come back up.
But they don't know that now.
And there's no science that actually proves that we're spinning. All they say is, oh, you see how that sun moves, the sun rises and the sun sets? Well, that's not the sun rising, it's you rolling towards the sun at 1,000 miles an hour. That's how I say the faster the earth is spinning, 1,000 miles, 1,500 kilometers an hour, faster than the speed of sound. And yet we can jump up and come back down. A hot air balloon could go straight up and come straight back down and not be affected by this. But it'll come down in the same place unless the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
If the wind is blowing, it could be blowing this direction, that direction. It doesn't mean anything about the spin of the earth. That can't be measured in science. We were lied to about that. We were lied to about what gravity is. Gravity is simply density and buoyancy. This plastic box will fall to the floor, but if you put it over there in the beach or on the sea, it'll float. Why? Because it's buoyant. It's got less weight than the water it's displacing. That's why. Otherwise, you put sand inside there, now it's going to go to the bottom. Now it's going to sink because it's heavy.
Basically, people always had us told, now we're in control of things.
No, well, science has become the new religion. The science, that's why you see people wearing their NASA T-shirts. That's why I wear this one here, which is the lies, NASA lies. Because thanks, man. Well, this is what my friend Howard in Spain gave us to me. We went on a tour around Europe in 2019, trying to tell people that the Earth is, not a globe. They called it the Globe Lie Tour, but everything has been a lie, and it's all been designed to control your soul, control your mind, your body, and your soul. And they use the governments of the world via the Crown Corporation of London, the Vatican City in Italy, and the Washington DC in America. These are three corporations that sit outside of the jurisdiction of their respective countries, and from those control centers, this world is controlled. Now, what sits behind them? Maybe some wealthy families or some powerful things. Some people say the devil. Some people say, some kind of, other entities from different realms and stuff. I don't really know, but I know the evidence is that the water is level, Earth is not moving. We've been lied to about everything. And if you can work on that basis and go back to, wow, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my centrality in this story? They must be doing a lot of effort to hide you.
No, it does make a lot of sense. You always question that, but when you're brought up in school that way, you end up believing on it.
Yeah.
But if you really ask yourself that, and you really look at it,
And when
it
you're
just doesn't
bigger,
make
you
sense.
think different.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
more matured.
No, it's
But
good.
but like the Catholic Church will say, give me the boy until 7 and I will give you the man. So the indoctrination that I can put on you in the first 7 years is the most powerful. So if I make you believe that you live on a ball when you're 7 years old, you'll believe that. You believe in Santa Claus at that age. Right? So I'll get you to believe in this, and then it's hard to shake that. and then the education system only reinforces that bit by bit by bit by bit. All the TV programs about space and stuff like that, it's all CGI, but we believe Sandra Bullock or B people can go up into space and do all these fancy things that we know they're doing it in Hollywood, but we can't believe that NASA is just using the same Hollywood stunts to pull off the whole space lie. And that they use the idea that Russia and America are enemies, and therefore one would tell on the other if they were lying about going to space, right? Well, what if they're at the top table? Of course, they're friends, Russia and America, and they just use these wars, Cold Wars, apartheid, whatever you want. They use them to keep the people at odds with each other, because as you know, the more stressed you are, the less time you have to think about your place in the world and who you are and your specialness. If you're fighting for survival, and I've been fighting a little bit for my own survival, there's no time for thinking. But a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, I had time to think.
Fighting for survival.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm like,
So you got no time for the higher stuff. You got no time to think about who I am, what's my purpose here, what's my reason. So everyone is made to be a slave from
not that I
childhood.
don't get it. I do, but it's very little. That's like only like when I'm in my bed.
Yes. Yes.
That's the only time I get
Yeah.
a chance to think that,
Yes.
hey, what am I going to be doing tomorrow? What's my plans? Or what did I do today? You know.
What about
makes
the
me
who am
different
I?
from
Imagine if
another
you knew.
person?
Imagine if someone said to you that you might be Jesus, you might be the Christ carrying God's spark. You might be that person. Each of us might be that person. What if you had that knowledge, and then at night you thought about, hey, how is it that I can honor that? Because if that's true, that I'm carrying God's light in me, then how do I honor that? I don't honor that by becoming the banker CEO, wearing the tie, screwing everybody down with interest that they can never pay back, taking their houses away from them when they don't pay that back. I wouldn't want to be that man, but I also wouldn't want to be the street criminal who's knocking old ladies over the head so he can take their pension money, right? So I would be wanting to be the highest version of myself, to my family, to my friends, to my community.
Yeah.
And this is what I realized 6 years ago, is that, gee, that's what I'm part of. And I need to be the best version of myself in order to be that. Because I have to honor God. And I live that way, to honor God. Not a church, not a preacher, not an imam, no one else, but my relationship directly to the Creator, whatever name you give to that Creator.
Perfect conversation, you know. I can also add into it, you know, just to listen to what you're talking about. These things that we always question them, but you know, as we said, we've always been controlled.
Yes.
But it's good now. Your guys are going around and giving us a chance to sort of think about this whole thing. You know,
Have a new vision about who we are.
No, it's not actually a new vision. We always had it,
Yeah.
but the world always had us controlled.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing how powerful these people are.
Yeah.
And, you
Well,
know,
they use Tell
yeah.
Live Vision.
Wow.
They use the Tell Live Vision
yeah.
to propaganda. What do I think about COVID-19? Well, we know for sure that the governments have admitted that they've never been able to take like a grain of sand. They've never been able to say, take that grain of sand out of a petri dish and say, here it is, I'm holding in my hand, or in a tiny, microscope, I'm holding the COVID-19. They can't do that. It's called isolating it. They've never, and they've admitted that the South African government just threw a court case out where they say, we don't have to show you this isolated COVID-19. The American government have just admitted they don't have isolated COVID-19. So remember what
that they made of that ball and that funny face with a lot of like, but it's just like
that's an artist's conception.
Like,
That's a CGI,
imagination.
and that's exactly what they
Never,
do.
like, instead of like making it like a worm or
Yeah,
like a bar.
they could have done that, but they've given us this little ball with the little spokes and stuff,
Yeah,
which
with
is
it.
an image that came out of the 2012 Olympics in London, by the way. But they use the same trick to create the globe and all this planets and all that sort of stuff. They're all CGI. So they've used this imaginary thing. They put you this image in your mind, and that little thing people think is real. But a virus is something that occurs inside of each of our bodies. We all get viruses. We get the flu. Coronavirus has been known about for a very long time in medical journals. So it's not, there might be a bad round of flu going on, but I think the pandemic is actually fear. They're using fear of this little invisible enemy, this germ or germ man. They're using this germ to get people so fearful that they'll do things that cause them to become unhealthy. Covering your breath up, that's not healthy for you. Taking the poison from the hand gel 20 times a day, your body has to absorb that. That's a toxin that your body has to cleanse. That's going to make you unwell. Not going outside, interrupting your normal routines of exercise and activity, spending time with loved ones, all of these things, and then fear and stress. This is going to cause a lot of illness, and I'm already starting to see that happen.
Yes.
But it was never what those people that got flu, it was just like most people. It was a normal flu. That was how it was last year. It's changing now. So I think it's intentional. I think it's intentional.
Sorry to cut you off. Adding more into this question, but does it exist? Or are we getting blinded? Does it exist?
Does COVID exist? No, I don't know that COVID exists. I think what COVID is like something on a printout. So if you put let me just finish this point. If you put a probe in, an electronic probe, and then you put it through a sequencer DNA machine, and it comes out with an answer, and they've called that COVID. It doesn't mean it's a real, like I say, it's not like a tick. You got tick bite fever, here's the tick that gave you tick bite fever. They can't pick it out of your body and say, here it is, this is the thing. Because if COVID was one thing, like tick bite fever, then everyone would be getting the same sick. But some people say, oh, I got positive COVID, but I wasn't even really sick. Or maybe I had scratchy throat. And other people go, it had me in hospital for 5 days, I was so sick. So that's not the same illness.
It's quite scary, it's quite scary.
I just died.
You just hide.
That's what we're hearing. I just died.
Oh, others are dying. I think that some people are dying. And then in the UK, I looked at the UK's death stats for 2020. There was a slight increase in the death rate, but most of those people were over 80. This year, I think that might be different. Why? Because for a year, people have been creating a perfect storm of illness in their mouth, in their throat, in their lungs, by rebreathing dirty air. By holding that steamy, moist air in their lungs, you're getting this bacteria building up. And that bacteria is now waiting to kind of just kick off. You know, like an algae in a swimming pool. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Initially, in the first week, a little bit there, a little bit there. But by week 2, boom, the whole pool is clean, is green. It's like it can, it blooms. So the moment the sun gets on it. Well, this is what I think might be happening, is that we're actually creating illness through our behaviors, through our actions, rather than it ever being something other than a seasonal flu. And they've invented a test which the guy who invented the test, right? He said it's not fit for testing what you're looking for. Cheers, bro. It's not fit for testing what you're looking for.
Oh, but the cure, do you think it's a
cure? Well, I don't know that. You see, when you understand what a virus is actually your body's purging process. So the cure is rest and water and a few days of time. Because normally when we get the flu, which is what coronavirus is, cold and flu, we go and rest. We have our oranges and our lemon and whatnot, hot lemon and whatnot, and maybe a little whiskey if that suits you. But that's what we do normally. That's what people normally did when they were sick. Nowadays, of course, they will take a lot of pills. Some will go to hospital and so on. But I have heard some rather unpleasant stories of people being quite well on one day and 3 or 4 days later just dying. And that is a weird thing. You can't say that my friend next door had a scratchy throat. I went and visited him, and then 3 days later I died from his scratchy throat. No, that's something else. There's something else going on here.
When I look at the world now,
go on, I'm listening.
Yeah. When I look at the world, the way things are, because you must be able to understand something. The country which comes up do find that cure.
When you say cure, do you mean like
Sorry to interrupt.
We live with
This
Durban
man
Beach
wants to speak
about what's
our reality we live in.
I got a question. I got some information for you. Okay, my first question is, how fast is the Earth spinning? Okay. Second question.
24 hours per day.
Yeah. So
Should
that
be about an accurate guess.
it's about 1,500 kilometers an hour.
Per hour.
Yeah.
Like 24 hours.
Yeah, one
So
rotation.
that's what equals to how
40,000 kilometers.
How many in kilometers?
Yeah, 40,000.
40,000.
Around. That's the circumference of the Earth, right?
That's nice to know.
So-
So that's how the moon and the sun and that they are, right?
So we're spinning at about faster than the speed of sound.
And
Can you?
my daughter wants to go home, so let me go
Okay.
through the quick freestyle.
All right.
We're talking about the earth turning. Man,
Yeah.
I make evolution, make restitution, and we still do pollution.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But have you heard that the Earth is flat?
What?
Have you heard that the Earth is flat and not a ball?
Yeah, there's that theory, but I never hear none of that, G.
Okay,
I
let's
don't know
leave
what
the
to
theory
believe
aside.
really, because
Yeah.
I've never really been overseas, G. Even if I was going there, I wouldn't be circling. Just the earth and gravitational pull keeps me grounded in.
What about
Maybe
your
sound
natural
of mind.
density is a propensity to keep a heavier thing low and a lighter thing to fly. like a
A nicer
helium
thing
balloon.
would fly would be a fucking kite, mate.
A kite, yeah, but a kite's got the wind blowing through it, right?
My
The
kid don't
helium
go- my
balloon
kid
will
needs to
go.
go home.
All right,
Take
but
my-
look
take
into
my-
the flat
take-
earth,
take
my
my-
brother.
Take my number,
Say
man.
your
I'd
thing.
like to drop some stuff
Yeah.
on your podcast.
All right.
I'm a rapper. I rap about politics and most of what you're talking about. So like, yeah.
Remember, it doesn't. The shape's not so important. It's if they've lied to us
Yo,
that
yo,
matters.
Take my number down. I'm gonna send you a
Say
full,
the number.
a full written song about what you're
All right.
talking about.
All right.
Right.
Say your number.
It's 0.
No, not to.
Oh, not on there.
Not on the
I'm
whole
live.
Facebook platform.
I'm
nah.
live. Oh, it's not Facebook. It's YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on YouTube, Trinity 4 on
Trinity
YouTube.
4.
And I
Okay.
talk about the fact that the entire of our history, science and stuff is a lie. We didn't
That's a
evolve
fake
from
space.
monkeys. We didn't evolve from monkeys. We didn't evolve from monkeys. And water is always level. Bye-bye, darling. Cheers, man. Thanks, brother.
He doesn't get paid.
Hey, Michael. Hey, Michael. Yeah, I'm just trying to find some more people to talk to. Thanks you guys for hanging in there. I know I was busy chatting with something. Hey, Tommy Rogers, loving the mist. Breda Brooks, hey. He is not SA. Vertic. Vertic, I was wanting to say hello to you the other day, actually, because you know, I know you're connected to what's his name? Subject Access. Are you still connected to Subject Access? Because I think you know, he's a guy who seems, you know, committed to, you know, working this bullshit out. And I would say that you know, we need to maybe bring a guy like that into a conversation with us on Flat Earth. You know, I think it's time that people grew a set of balls and face the truth. Earth is not a spinning globe. Look who's here. Do you want to say hello?
I do. I've got a little bit of a sore heart.
A heavy heart.
Heavy heart. Just been speaking to some people, and you know, a reality about desperate people is they do desperate things, and you know, you come here with a loving heart, and it's not. I'm not saying this with judgment, but
People will take what they can. Right?
yeah, and
They're
but
hungry
it,
and
but it
starving.
it kind of hurts when you're. And again, with no judgment, I understand that you're going to sell anything
Yeah.
to pay for either or whatever your needs are, and that's again.
I was talking to that Indian dude now with the baby, with the baby food, and just heartbreaking that these people are having themselves just for, you know, like £10, maybe £15 or $20 a day to keep these people in shelter and food. You know? And our system here cannot find its way to provide that for people. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was having another conversation with someone saying, you know, that we're actually all family, and we've forgotten that. And now more than ever, we seem so divided. And yet,
Andrea was standing at that pizza place over there yesterday, and one of the guys came over to talk to her, and the staff at the pizza restaurant said footsack, which is what we would say to a dog. You know, get away. To the guy, you know.
yeah, when you have compassion for them too, because obviously the problem is you know, it becomes a problem. The guy said it's just my job, but you know, we know what we think about that. Hey, you're doing it, and again, I understand. It's just, it's a sad state of affairs.
Sad state of affairs.
Sad state of affairs.
Mark in Melbourne was saying that his whole state is locked down again, and I think I got interrupted in saying that I think that's coming across the board. We feel that here, the drumbeat of, you know, and they're blaming certain gatherings and the protests
The
from
president's
the
already
Zuma
been
president.
scheduled for tonight, so.
Well, that was due anyway because this place is on a 2-week temporary circuit breaker.
I'm going to go and get our boy something.
Okay.
I will.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on the flip side.
Yeah, just trying to be in my heart. My heart's all sore.
Can I have a sip of that water?
I'll wash it for you.
Thank you. See you in a bit.
See you later.
Well, guys, it's a heavy heart. It's a heavy heart that we carry here. Hey, and hit the thumbs up, by the way, if you don't mind. If you're just passing through, you know, but I don't feel like my view counts. And perhaps it's reflecting on my own state of heart or my own state of mind. You know, where I'm at, how I'm feeling about things. I use the term outer space more now. This was here last night. Obviously, I put this down last night. Hello. Hey, how are you, my brother? Can I come talk to you in a little while, Yusuf? I'm just talking to some of my friends on the old thing. No worries, brother. Oh, that little Yusuf, he's also a drug user, and it's like, breaks my heart. I can give him some food, but not money. He keeps asking for money. I was doing that in the beginning, you know. Giving away your money, by the way, because a lot of what we've achieved here has only been due to thanks to the generosity of people like you, who has been a contributor. We had our PayPal account cleared. We were able to give them an address in the UK. So if you are able to go to PayPal, it's trinities@gmail.com. If you are able to go to that, then please do. I seem a little bit kind of like, because I'm a little bit what's the word I'm looking for, reticent. I meant to free my mind, but I'm a little reticent because honestly I've had people say to me, yes, you need to be here, you need to tell people the truth, you need to get out here, get a crowd, because honestly a lot of people hear me here and they are listening, you know. Hey, my sister. All right, how are you? Cool. Nice day today.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. You can say hello to my friends. I'm busy talking on a live.
My name is Samantha.
Samantha.
Nice to meet you. I'm actually shy of a camera in my face, but okay, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry I didn't stay yesterday afternoon. It was a little
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just like, trying to be, you know, I'm not sure. What is the approach, you know? How can I help? Because really we're meant to be able to help each other. We're meant to be a community helping each other, and of course I can't do it without help. And I was just talking to my friends about that. I have a Patreon. I do have a Patreon. Which Patreon is where people can send you like $5 a month or $10 a month. It's like
for support.
Yeah, just to support what I do. In fact, a lot of what I've achieved, I've only achieved because people send me thousands of pounds. Honestly, many days we've been like, we don't know where we're sleeping tonight. We got no money for a place, we don't know food, and somehow it's just come through in the nick of time for us to find a way.
It's like with me now. I was looking here and I'm thinking, what am I gonna do? And the next minute, the 50 rands just floating past me.
Really?
Yeah, like,
happy days. Happy days.
So I was wondering where did it come from, because it was just, and it's a good thing I went that way. If I didn't go that way, I wasn't gonna find it.
Happy days.
Yeah, I just went that way and then I saw here it's floating with the wind.
So you got shelter tonight?
Yes.
Happy days. Sure.
Uncle Dave, I will see you again. I want to go
Hi,
inside
Samantha.
and see if I can get some help there. But thanks
See you,
for your
sister.
friendship and your help. Sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
God bless you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye. Yeah, it's just regular human beings that are caught up in various things. My dad's a little bit less sympathetic than I am. It's like, everyone makes their choices. You make your bed, but people are not. People are not necessarily getting a free bed. There's so much. Right. There's so much. There's so much stacked against certain people. And what about that little baby? Did you see that little baby? The Indian dude, the old guy, his daughter's child. His son's child. they're both drug users, and they can't care for the kids. Any money they have, they use on their drugs. They won't give him a cent towards feeding their own child, and she's pregnant again with another. Can you imagine the challenges? Another man up there, he told us a week ago, his 5-year-old baby died in his arms. She said to him, "Daddy, my chest is sore here," and then shortly after died. And now she's lying in a morgue down the road, and he can't bury her because he doesn't have 700 rand to pay for her burial. They've given him a discount to 700 rand, which is freaking 40 pounds, $50, something like that. Francois made a little contribution towards his cost, but until he's got the whole lot, until he's got the whole amount, he can't release his 5-year-old baby to a body. So there's a lot of people living comfortable lives and going about their lives, and this is not a knock at that. It's like, damn good luck for you, man. But it is rather uncomfortable coming down at the sort of the gritty end of our societal milieu, and having your heart tugged by all of this. Anyway, the world is. I will see if this. The hip people is Mexicans. Okay, I assume that's something to do with the craziness of people having to outwit and outsmart the RoboCops. Ricardo, am I on my own? No, I'm not on my own. As you saw, Andrea and Alexander are here. They were sleeping. And I'm also here with my new friend Francois. He's a flat earther from inland. He's very generously driven down here for a second time to spend time with us, and we hung out yesterday, and he's there, and he also wants to make a difference, but he's also got his own trials and travails, as so many of us do, and he's also, let's say, cut off his supply lines to a large extent because of wanting to tell people the truth as he sees it. So, thank you, Love in the Mist. Much love to you. Nice chats. I appreciate that. First off, I know that's not for me. He is a beautiful child, thank you. Yeah, Alexander, but every time I can't, and I know I bleat on about this, but oh my Lord, have I put that child through, I thought about it again this morning, how have I put that child through some kind of trial by fire over the last 18 months, 20 months. And I don't yet feel good about it. Some would say, oh, he's going to be stronger for all the, whatever, but children, like baby plants, need a secure rooting to set them up for a good life, He's had the security of his mum and dad with him all the time, to be fair, or a lot of the time, but the instability of having a different house and so many different places and no routines, and each time you move you leave toys behind, or things can't be transported along with you, so yeah. We are getting a lot of time on the trampoline at the moment, which is fantastic, really, really fantastic. I'm excited about that. As you know, we used to do it every day until we left the house, so he's getting back into it. I've got the sun in my eyes, so it's hard to read. So it's something for me there. Sorry guys, I can't really read this at the moment. Let me just turn this around, see if that helps. Keep me in the shade. There are meetups and things happening. I would love to actually, if I was here longer, I'd love to sort of build up a little bit of a head of steam here and actually get people coming down here. You can see me trying to scroll through this. Hi Dave, Andrea. Is that squirrel? I can't read. Shit. I'm sorry guys, I'm struggling to read the font here. It's a bit bright. world is. Some people are just going on like, oh, just carry on, you know, don't worry about it. Just, I'm having a good life. I'm living my best life, and so on. And yo, I think that's fantastic. But I haven't got to that myself. I have these ideas about how I can develop what it is that I do, because, as you know, going back into being a 9-to-5 tax slave has less appeal than a, what could I say, what do they used to call it, a back sack and crack wax, where you take the old hot wax and coat it into your leg pit. Oof. Actually, I had a chest once upon a time, a long time ago. I got talked into having my chest waxed. Oh my word, that was a lot of pain. One-time deal. Yeah, I'm seeing, you know, obviously you guys know this, there's more to come. We're a long way out of the woods, and where it all ends up is anyone's guess at this point in time. I would like very much to be in a quiet place where I'm not having to kind of, you know, but then be able to come and do this, because this and meeting with other men, maybe women, but other men particularly, to talk about the divine masculine and our place, our right place, and how we, those sorts of things. But perhaps that'll come in the fullness of time. I guess I'm feeling a little bit frustrated. It's like there's not a lot. I feel like it's probably why also going back to England, I'll be like, maybe I'll be joining in on those very popular protests, even though I still think that they are an intended alter ego, alter action to the action that's being taken. This is Durban Beach, guys. It's called North Beach. This is North Beach, and a bit windy today, so I'm trying to stay out of the wind around here. There's a very famous surf competition held here. Durban has really good surf conditions. A lot of sharks, actually, so all of these beaches here have shark nets at them to reduce the likelihood that sharks can get through. Some of the highest. My brother, how are you? Cool. Nice day. Alright, cool. And these are the rickshaws, the famous rickshaws that people ride on. Hey, brother. All right. These are the famous rickshaws. So maybe I can sit here and have a little. Does anyone have a question for me or anything like that? If it would help if you put the there's Mighty Adam here. Oh, mate. I miss London. You know, this is midwinter, right? And you see how many people are wearing shorts. I'm in a t-shirt, no shoes. You know, this. Hey, brother. You all right? Laka. Laka, you heard me say. That means nice, by the way. I have a rapport with people here, man. And there's aspects of the UK that I really am, and particularly my baby, my boy and my daughter, Jessica, the older ones, missing them immensely. And we are agonizing over whether we have to jump back to the UK now, do whatever. We've been talking to a friend, Emily, about, you know, trying to do it without the 10 days imprisonment. And I don't really want to take that leap right now. It's actually a very tricky position, and as it happens, the place that we're renting to stay is cheaper than pretty much anything we could get in the UK. So it's a bit of a tough one. We're in a bit of a quandary at the moment, and I'll be honest with you about that. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to figure this out. You know, and I have, in a way, I sound like a religious dude, but I have, in a way, tried to be handing a lot of this over to God to whatever happenstance. because I'm really not here, and it could go either way. And there's good reasons to be here, and there's good reasons to be elsewhere. You know, the Earth is flat. I gotta give you guys some people. I gotta catch some people. What did I do with that chalk? Maybe put a little bit more chalk down. But I gotta try and get a few people to talk to. I had such a great conversation yesterday with this young man, and in so doing, it drew a crowd of sorts around us, and it was so cool to be to actually be talking to a number of people simultaneously. It's spreading the word. Sunglasses are bad for you, by the way. I'm going to just do a little something here. I do still have a bit of very small, cheap chalk, I think. Yeah, I've got a little bit of chalk on me. Sunday, guys, hey, wherever you are, it's still Sunday. And the prime ruler of this country tonight is going to tell the subjects what they can expect. We think that there's going to be more restrictions and more, not necessarily full fat lockdown like we've had before. But you know, the thing is that what people don't miss is that they say, oh well, they've not gone to the full lockdown. But yes, that may be true. However, they haven't actually rolled back all the other stuff that they told you was only going to be 3 weeks. And yet all of these people, pretty much all of these people have been very diligent in, I think, and in most places in the world, people have been pretty, order following, rule followers, going along with it. So, you know, what is the evidence that all of that has helped when now we're starting to see people are getting sick? As I say, I think there's plumes of bacteria or mold or fungus perhaps growing in the throat, and then when they oxygenate you in the hospital, that sets it off into a growing frenzy. So that's what I think is happening. And those people who have been out there saying this is a hoax are going to be made to look stupid or whatever, insensitive, which is, I put something on Facebook the other day, and it's like, it really upsets people, you know. It's like you being unsensitive, and they don't seem to think that they don't consider that if this is true, then what they are doing to children and old people, vulnerable people, is an abhorrent crime against all of humanity and against the Creator they say they believe in. And this, to me, is a crying shame. And you can't. These people are so caught up with it. It's like the German soldier or the policeman. They believe very much the program that they're running, and telling them something else is an offence to them, and yet they are forcing their children to starve themselves of oxygen. This is unbelievable. How can we possibly think that this is clever? I'm going to do another one here. Just trying to get where people flow through here and get people's attention. I've had some fun doing the chalk in different places, haven't I? And it really does work quite well, I think. I am disappointed in that I don't have flyers. I could do with Harry or Jason or what's his name, Dave Weiss, to get involved in some of that. I'm not all of those things, you know. So I've been saying to Andrea, you know, I could definitely be doing more stuff, but I'm not like all things. I need, as we all do, we need a support network. And maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm just wasting my time, you know. And you know, and I don't mean for you guys listening that have told me very kindly that I've added value, given you information, useful stuff. I don't mean that. I mean, you know, for the newcomers, as it were, you know. Hey, brother. Earth is flat, not a globe. They lied to you in science class. Matric is that's a school thing. Oh look, I've got some people here. Let's go and have a chat. Hey, can I ask you a question? Or have you noticed my art? You noticed my art? I used to be a big fan of Disney, hey, but then I found out that Walt Disney and a guy called Ron Hubbard, who started the Church of Scientology, were all close friends of the guy called Anton LaVey, who ran the Church of Satan in the 1960s in America. No one knows this, but there's a third guy who was part of that team. You don't need that, honestly. Do you know in England that you're not allowed to wear them until 12? In England? And if I went around to a shop in England and said I don't wear a mask, they say, fine, you can come in. Did you know that? Exemptions are for anyone who wants to choose to have an exemption from wearing a mask, because when you wear a mask, you're rebreathing dirty air from your lungs, and you're creating like a bit of a potential for illness, because that steam that's being held in your lungs is creating like a dampness on the lungs. And I think people are starting to die this year from wearing the mask. God never made you to cover your breath. Scientists will tell you that your oxygen is reducing by 10% the moment you put the mask on. So your body functions are going to suffer, plus this rebreathing of dirty air, I think is going to cause people to become sick. That's my honest truth. Then you add the chemicals 20 times a day, you have to wash your hands. Those chemicals are absorbed and drunk by your body and have to be processed by your body. Now, all of a sudden over the last year, you've got a new toxic load to manage. So I really think that this is going to add to whatever pandemic is now coming down the line. Because the original pandemic in 2020 was fear. The evidence of people falling over in the street and people passing it to each other and then them all dying and stuff, there was none of that. I looked at the national stats for the UK, and in 2020 they lost 600,000 people in total. In 1985 they lost 600,000 people in total. So the death rate in 1985 was the same as 2020. They never told you that it was a pandemic. That's just your normal business. They lose 550 to 600,000 people in the UK every year to death, old people. That's how it works. The average age of COVID death in the UK was 83, which is the average age of life anyway in the UK. So I didn't see any pandemic other than people becoming fearful. Now fearful people are covering up their normal aspiration and starting to suffocate themselves. And you're creating, as I say, if you blow into one balloon and you pop that balloon, inside the balloon is wet. What is that wet? That's that moisture that's meant to be coming out of your body, not being trapped here and being sucked back into your lungs. What happens if you do have like a mold or a bacteria form in your lungs while you're breathing at 19% oxygen, which should be 21%? Then you go into hospital and they give you an oxygen treatment, which makes that plume of germs just grow exponentially fast. And that's why I think some people might be dying 3 days after going into hospital, because it makes no sense that I could have a scratchy throat, give it to my uncle, and he dies 3 days later of a scratchy throat. We've been lied to, friends. And I didn't know any of this until I found out that the 9/11 stuff that went down in New York 20 years ago, that was done by the government. That was not done by a Muslim man. That was not done by Osama bin Laden. You cannot beat the American military and knock down 3 buildings, because there were 3 buildings that came down there that day. You cannot knock down 3 buildings with 2 planes. So that was the first thing for me. And then I found out that there's a formula for the curvature of Earth. Because we live on a spheroid, or an oblate spheroid as they say that there's a formula to calculate how much a ship is going to go down, a plane is going to go down, or whatever is going to go down. Because if you live on a ball, things go down, right? If you live on a flat Earth, then the water is level. But if you live on a ball, the water must go down. And they say that water is going down at 8 inches per mile squared. Which means that from here to Umhlanga Rocks, which is about 15 k's away, there should be 20 meters of sea level drop from here to there. In other words, a ship will sail from here, go downhill to Umhlanga by 20 meters. You know that's bullshit, right? It's level body of water from here to Umhlanga. And when the ship comes back, is he going to sail uphill to Durban Harbour? No. course not. He's going to sail on the flat. But if you ask a ball believer over in Umhlanga, he'd say, yes, it's 20 meters down to Durban Harbour, because that's the formula, 8 inches per mile squared for curvature. You know that your bath when it's still is level. Your lake when it's still is like a mirror. And you can only get a mirror on a perfectly flat surface. So if I made Midmar Dam 1,000,000 times bigger, would it start to curve round? Would it start to have rotundity? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So then you think, okay, what about this spinning thing? They say that the earth is spinning, that's why the sun moves over our head. No, the sun moves over our head because if the earth was spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, my friends, you would know about it. We would have winds associated with that movement. The atmosphere up here would be a complete mess because it would be, think about a wheel spinning, the atmosphere would be dragging slowly behind it. But they say the higher up you go, the faster the atmosphere is moving because the column of air is moving in line with the earth as you roll around. A plane doesn't make any real difference flying east or west. But if you're flying at against a ball that's flying 1,000 miles an hour, then you could just go up in a hot air balloon, wait there for an hour, and you'd be 1,000 miles away. None of the science works, but they told us that when they told us about Santa Claus, they also told us that you live on a spinning ball, you evolved from monkeys, and that you are an insignificant speck, lucky to be here. And you better be grateful for your master at school or in the government who's going to protect you from the dinosaurs' fate, which was to have an asteroid come and wipe them out from the darkness of space. Well, none of this is true. God created, or Allah created this world perfect with a dome, an enclosed system for us all to live in a perfect harmony. But something or someone has been lying to humanity for over 1,000 years, and none of us and our grandparents know the truth about who we are and our connection, our true one connection to the Creator. In the same way that Jesus or Muhammad claimed their connection to God, so should we. But your science, their religions, the mainstream organized religions, never want you to know this. And they all want you to go around like good slaves, covering up your breath, paying insane amounts of taxes for a life that's becoming increasingly expensive. And when you buy your house, you're going to have to borrow money from the bank, who are going to charge you usury interest that you should not be charged, and make a vast fortune of money that they're lending you, which is really your own money. So this is an entire scam that you're involved in, my friends. I come out and talk in public when I can and tell people that the world has been lied to from the top down. But I promise you that whoever runs the government in this country is not in South Africa. There is a world government that runs the entire affairs of the world today. It's not a South African thing, it's not a Russian thing, it's not an American thing, it's a one world government thing. And that one world power has been encroaching on the entire of humanity for all of your life, but was doing this generations and generations ago. So I'm here to tell you that you are the center of creation, and that whatever you think about yourself, that has been programmed into your mind. And I'm offering you this as an insight to go and look again at the who you are, the what you are, and why it is we're being lied to. Because the shape of the earth matters a little bit, but once I knew that the earth wasn't a globe, it put me at the center of creation. It made me the reason that we're here. Just like it says in the Bible and other learned books, that you are the center of creation. And don't let any man take that from you. Because as Jesus said, God created you in his image. If you look in the mirror and you say, I am the way, the truth, and the light to God, the only way to God is through me, the Muslims will tell you that God is closer to you than the jugular vein in your neck. I'm telling you that we walk with God, walks with us. We are a fractal of the Creator, but we have been made slaves. We have been simplified. We have been devolved, not evolved. Devolved. Humanity has never been at a lower ebb. And here we see it writ large, where people are just believing this government. Everyone tells me the government is corrupt. Everyone tells me the government, and yet they're following the government's rules. Ask yourself some questions, my friends. Free your minds. Have a great day. Breathe freely, and don't take the vaccine.
Absolutely. I'm with you all the way, Dave.
Thanks, brother.
I'm with you all the way.
Well, we had some 30 friends stop by for that. Thank you very much for that. How was that? Yeah, awesome. Yeah, the Globe Light, the Globe Light tour, the original Globe Light tour with Harry and Jason was insane. And I had, if you've watched my stuff, you know that I had some of the best conversations ever. But that was all before that awful attack at the end of 2018, which really has still carries an echo for me today. But it's great to get out there and to be talking to people and to trying to free people's minds. As you can see, there are some people who are, but again, it's like, once they've taken the information, they will go back home, turn on the TV, be told to be frightened, stay at home and follow the master. And we can't serve two masters. Having said all of that, yeah, I am pretty frightened about trying to go through border control and say I'm standing in my sovereignty. I'm not subject to these rules and recommendations. I'm not subject to these things, and I will not consent. I am struggling with my own fear of that, to be honest, and that's part of my journey at the moment. I'd like to do what I do it on a bigger scale. I don't want to sound grumpy, guys. I do appreciate you, 30 of you stopping by here, those that have come by earlier and those that are listening. I really do appreciate it. But I have to confess, and maybe it's the energies in the sky, man, but I have to confess a sense of like, what am I doing? And I just want to underscore the generosity of people that have supported me all along this way, certainly over the last year or so, 2 years. Really, kind of saved my life. That man who said to me earlier on, I feel suicidal at times, the granddad with the child. I can relate to that. It's like, what the fuck are we doing, and where's it all going? And I wonder so much about if it had ended up, we stayed in Portugal, it had kind of worked out, and I'd been able to kind of just hunker down. What would that feel like, and would that have been the right course? Some will say, no, of course you're on the right path. Wherever you are is where you're meant to be. There's so many variables that have brought me to this moment. Because if we are the creators, sometimes when we say we are going to give it to God, is that a skewing of it? Because ultimately it's within you, and you're the creator, so you're the one who gets off with it. And I find, I'm talking to these young men here, trying to encourage them to find some way of changing their lot, because really it's only them who can walk this way. I can't do it for them. Anyway. As you can see, I'm not at ease, and I'm not in my most rested, or not in my most loving creative state. There are energies, and Mars is going into something, and these energetic things that are happening. But I do love it though when people are reading my signage. It's lady over there reading. Willow and Flat Earth, who's that? I'm sorry I can't read your name. They will go underground for the reset. Yeah, it's an interesting theory, man. I'm here, I'm going to stand. Whatever's coming, I'm standing firm. I don't mean necessarily here in South Africa. I'm not sure where, but I'll stand firm and let it come, whatever it is. But maybe this is just part of my proving ground. Yeah, that's another thing. Oh, I'm really sorry to read that. My dad passed away this week after having a second jab a few weeks ago. And the cause of death was massive blood clots. I've heard of that. Oh, I'm so sorry for you. That's You see, now I'm hearing of this, hey, and people won't. You obviously know that there's real serious, potentially serious side effects, but other people won't. So that when someone they know, doesn't make it, they put it down to the thing that they've been told to fear, not the treatment that they've been applying to the thing that they fear. And my daughter, she's in a situation where she's been cajoled and feeling like it's the only way forward. She is 22, That's a bitter pill to swallow. She's been living with her boyfriend's family for the last year, and they're super frightened. And actually, you might remember last year we wanted to visit her, but they wouldn't let us visit because we'd only been in the country. We'd come out of Portugal. That we needed to wait 2 weeks before we could see her. What's it all about? What's it all for? I guess we'll find out in the fullness of time. I'm not living my happiest life. That's for sure. I've got a lot to be grateful for, but yeah. I don't want to end it on a low note. Do you guys mind if I have a smoke? I think I got one on me. Or maybe I gave it away. No, I've still got it. Happy days. I'm smoking an organic tobacco actually, with some of the local homegrown. I saw Martin Lika was with my pal Russian Vids last night. I didn't get a chance to listen in. I got a very patchy signal where I'm at. But, I'm sure that had lots to talk about. And yeah, I've been wanting to do a few of those things myself, but don't have the old PC or don't have a laptop there, so you can't really organise those things too well. And yeah, Wi-Fi has been patchy. I was meant to do that. I asked Karen B if she would host me. I'm trying to be proactive, guys. I am trying to make something happen here. It may not seem like it from there, and you haven't seen a lot of me or what I've been doing in the background, but I do want to try and make something happen here. Even if it's only a short-term something happening. Let's start a few forest fires, fan them a little. Forgive me if my smoking troubles you, but I feel the need. Been feeling a little bit like a dead. Hey, brother.
Hey, brother, you busy?
No, I'm just chatting to the chat room.
Yeah, I've got Trudy here.
Rodney.
Rodney, sorry.
Yeah, how's it, Rodney?
Yeah, he just wanted to share his story.
Hey, well, come sit here, Rodney. Yeah. Can you move a little closer, bro? I don't do social distance.
I said to Freddie, the only way that you can hear your story is to get it out there. People don't know.
So, Freddie.
Rodney.
Sorry, Rodney. What's your story, bro? You look quite young.
Oh, I'm 32 years old.
Yeah, very young. I'm glad you didn't say 33. You guys would have kicked off.
My brother is 24, my sister is 7.
Oh.
My mom's 52, and we live in Durban. We're struggling for the last year and a half. We live in shelters. Me and my brother, we come on the beachfront every day and we beg for money for shelter and food and things. You know, and it's very difficult because people judge us, they are pretentious, especially the rich. The rich look past us, look down at us, and ridicule us all day, every day. And they can't even take 10 or 15 rand and say, hey, here's towards shelter, here's towards food. They would rather just walk past you, say no, and go buy 100
Ignore you.
ice cream.
Yeah.
Ola.
Yeah.
So I mean, how's that? And then they say no, they do help and do contribute to charities. But here's charity right here on the beachfront. How many homeless are there? How many people are struggling? And not everyone's on drugs. Not everyone's abusing
Themselves, yeah. How long have you been like
we
living
said
in
the
Shop-
last time, a year and a half.
Oh. And what were you doing before that?
We were in Pretoria. I was working. My dad was alive. My mom was working. Freddie was going to college. So I mean, life was good, you know.
Yeah. And then you lost it all after your dad died.
Yeah, after my dad died, everything went.
Well,
boom.
what happened to the house?
House was taken away,
By the bank.
pretty much, and the cars were liquidated just to pay the
The
debt,
debts.
pretty much.
You see that you end up working your whole life and contributing your whole life and what have you, and then at the end, if you don't have the bills, you can't pay the bills, they'll take the whole lot away from you. And that's what's just happened to my friend over here.
That's exactly how the system works, unfortunately.
Francois is basically losing his farm. He's losing his farm, the farm he got from his dad, his family farm. And the banks are, cleverly in the farming way is you've got to take loans if you want to survive. And if you can't pay those loans because 2 years drought, you're stuffed, you're out.
And a thing called interest, Dave.
Interest, usury, as I said earlier on. Usury is against
taxes
God.
and interests.
Well, and the money they lend you is your own money. This is the crazy thing, is that you don't know this, but that when they lend you a mortgage for R1 million, that's your money, it's not theirs. You're actually bringing that money into existence. No one goes into the vault and gets $1 million out and gives it to the new guy, the old owner. The old owner gets numbers on the screen. He doesn't get a bar of gold for $1 million. No one gives that money over. It's created out of thin air on the back of your own debt or your own credit. That's how they do it, and then they charge you interest to borrow your own money and steal your energy by taking your home back from you after 10 years, 15 years of paying that mortgage. Mortgage means death grip, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, man.
No, you don't have.
Yeah,
You do. So, I mean, the thing is that, Rodney, it's actually, obviously you got the front face of it is that you get dealt pretty shit, but people treat you pretty shit as you experience, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
But that's the reason they treat people pretty shit, or maybe they do give in charity in other ways. That's the thing. Some people do give charity, and I said that at a shop the other day. They wanted me to buy some panty liners for women for a charity thing. I said I do. I don't really want to encourage the supermarkets anyway, but people do have ways of giving. So it's not all bad, but at the same time, people have been kind of weaponized against their status. And in India, they got those people called the unclean, no one wants to even touch them or go near them, And this is, I guess, where you might be feeling you're pegged in society.
I mean, I can prove it to you. I can walk up to one or two people here and I can just show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How they look down on you, how they talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, before I came here, Francois found me sitting there, told me I was looking down. I mean, I was told that I'm a plight to society, I'm a fucker. Sorry for my French, but...
It's all right, they can handle it.
Yeah, and you get that 40 times a day. How do you think you feel after that? Yeah, I mean, thick skin. They tell you shrug it off, be thick skinned. No, but it doesn't work. I've still got feelings. I still bleed. I still cry.
Yes.
I'm human just like everyone else. But it
Absolutely,
does hurt.
absolutely right.
It does hurt when people look down on you and tell you that you're nothing. You're more than nothing. You're lower than shark shit at the end of the day. And yes, I accept that I am.
No, you're not. Don't accept that ever. Never accept that. You know what? This is the thing, is that they've made jewels and clothes and brands and stuff like that the way of deciding that you are better or worse. The job title, the income bracket, this is how people decide they're better or worse. Well, the truth is that nature or God does not care for any of the material trappings of this world. He cares for your soul, the person or the man, the woman that you really are. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if you've got lots of money or no money. It's the person that you represent, what you present, and how you represent God, our Creator, or whatever you call nature. You know, would a mother elephant be going around, you know, stomping on other elephants just because they weren't part of the family or they didn't have the best watering hole or whatever? No, of course not. They'd be offering them some of their water.
Pretty much, yeah. They'll keep them in the family, treat them as one of their own, even if it comes from another
tribe or another, family, yeah.
I mean, there's a matriarch. They call the mother elephant a matriarch.
Yeah.
She protects all.
And she truly understands her nature. Her nature is to bear young and to raise them, protect her family and all that sort of thing. And to protect her crowd, her tribe, you know.
Yeah.
And that's, humans are a tribe, but we've forgotten that, and we've been broken up into these groups of black and white, Muslim and Jew factions, nationality factions. People stand so firmly behind their national flag, they would fight for it like I did. Not that I was a big nationalist, but I know that people do. You know, they identify totally by a flag and the name of a country, which is just some guy's corporation. It's not a real thing, you know. So we're giving ourselves away to these dead entities, corporations, rather than living for the man. We'd rather spend an extra 200 Rand on buying a Nike shirt than a regular cheap shirt, right? Same quality shirt, but one's got a little logo on. We'd rather spend that than giving you guys the $200 to
pay for
you know what I
shelter
mean?
and get food.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, hey, give all your money to the people. Like, choose who you help. You can see who's talking the truth and who's not. I mean, not all of us are on drugs. Not all of us are talking bullshit.
Yeah.
Some of us are battling. Some of us do have truth behind our stories, and others don't. Yes, I do agree. Some people have been fucked around more than most. But I mean, you do get the odd one or two people that don't lie and do tell the truth and do just want help. I mean,
but ultimately, Rodney, all of those people, the liars, the cheaters, the stealers, all those people, they're all equally God's children.
Pretty much.
It's just that they've been broken in different ways, and so their experience has brought them to a particular kind of set of behaviors. That's really what I see. You know, and for me, the criminal is just as bad as the guy who works in Standard Bank or one of the big banks or any bank, or for that matter, who is like, you know, overseeing and part of a system of, you know, stealing from the people. Well, he's also a former criminal in God's eyes. You know, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I think that he's still also bringing harm. He's just stealing in a white collar way. You know, like Francois losing his farm, or your dad, your mom losing your dad's house. You know, that is stealing. Just because I'm not knocking you over the head and taking the 50 Rand out of your pocket, this is a worse form of crime in a way. At least the guy who's stealing to the 50 Rand, he's probably hopefully going to buy food with it. But the guy who's taking the house from you, he's going to buy a new Porsche.
Yeah, he's going home to a nice fancy house, coming to a nice car.
Country club,
And
3
he's got all-
holidays,
yeah, he's got all
fancy
smiles on
5-star
his
holidays. You know what I mean?
Don't worry about anything at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, you know, which is worse? And the thing is, we tend to look at the beggar, the stealer, the thief as like, yeah, look at that terrible thing. But what about those white collar guys in all those city jobs that are participating in the crime on humanity? And now, of course, it's in government, obviously. The police, obviously, are all participating. And now you've got guys standing at supermarket doors. You know, they were unemployed 2 weeks ago. Now they got a job telling you have to stop breathing freely if you want to use my shop. This is insane.
Yeah.
So everyone's been brought into that.
So yeah, I just want to say to the people, please, when you do find a beggar that is talking the truth and you can see that they're asking for help, please just have a warm heart. Be kind, be nice, just help her. We're not asking for millions, we're asking for a few hundred Rand to pay shelter. Even go pay the shelter for us if you don't believe it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just help her. That's all I'm asking, it's a warm heart and a kind hand.
Yeah, and that applies all over the world, you know. I've found beggars, homeless people in England, you know, in other parts of the world, in Portugal. You know, there's homeless people all over. In America, it's becoming quite an epidemic. You know, so this sort of the haves and you know, the haves having extreme amounts of wealth and the have-nots having extreme amount of poverty. This is a fairly new thing. I know there's been poor people and homeless people for a long time, but it's just becoming an epidemic across certainly the Western world, the so-called developed world, and it is time for. And there are people already, good-hearted people who take meals out and who do things for people, you know. So shout out to all those folks. But yeah, as Rodney says, if you can do something in your local area, And this journey, Rodney, honestly started for me back in 2016, where I made a conscious decision to go out into my neighborhood and start making friends with people, but connecting with my tribe
Done
before.
previously, yeah.
So I made a conscious effort 5 years ago to start doing that, and that's brought me into, you know, going out on the streets eventually in London and then in other places in Europe to talk to people about the who we are and what we are. And that applies to rich and poor alike, you know. The truth of my message is that it applies to you, it's free, it doesn't cost you anything, so you can have it whether you're poor or rich. And it applies to you equally if you're poor or rich. It's just that the more educated you are and sometimes the wealthier you are, the less willing you are to let go of these material trappings and say, wow, it's something much greater than trying to be the richest kid on the block by the time I die.
Yeah. Like, I mean, to someone who's wealthy, what's 100 Rand or 150 Rand going to do? How's it going to affect you anyway? But now give it to someone who doesn't have it. See what a blessing it is.
Yeah.
I mean, their eyes light up, their heart races.
Yeah.
And you think that's nothing to you. You can wipe your ass with that money, but to them it's everything.
Yes.
It's shelter for
Yeah.
2-3 nights. Or,
Yes.
And food. I mean, and that's just 150 Rand, and you might look at it as nothing.
Yeah. Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you sharing your story. And I honestly wish you the best of luck.
Thanks.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks for that. Thank you.
Cool. You're allowed straws in this country. In other countries, they've been outlawed because the slaves aren't allowed to drink out of straws anymore.
Sure.
So have I told you that? I told you the Earth is flat, eh?
Yeah?
I told you that
Yeah, no,
already.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Bollocks. Well, see how this can, you know, it's got pressure in it, and the moment you break that pressure seal, it starts to equalize. That's why we know we have to live in an enclosed system, otherwise all of our gases would fly away. They only float, the light gases fly up, and then they reach a ceiling and they stop there. They don't go any higher. And otherwise, if it was a vacuum, it would all blow away. Guys, I've just been given a soda pop. I don't normally drink this stuff, but I'm going to have some now anyway. I'm not that rigid on everything. But, hey ladies. Have I told you before that the Earth is flat, not a globe like they tell us? Have you heard that? I'm running out of steam now. Guys, I'm gonna call it quits and say thank you. And I don't know if there's anyone who had a particular question for me. I don't think so. I'll say goodbye from Durban. Look like my son's waving, and he wants some of Daddy's time now. So I'll say good night, good afternoon, good luck, and please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget trinity'sthe@gmail.com, PayPal, and Trinity4 on Patreon. We are really actively asking for people to think about trying to support what we're doing here. If we can continue staying here for a time and do this longer, then you'll only see more and more coming from me, not less. So I hope this has been insightful. I thank you for your time.